Hi there guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host Simon Conboy. Today's episode is another game preview. I'll be focusing on one of the great matchups of this weekend as the Steelers head to Arrowhead to take on the undefeated Chiefs in what looks like it should be one of the key games in the AFC over the course of this regular season. As always, I'm going to go through the key matchups, how I expect both teams to attack the game, and how I expect things to go. So I'm going to start with the Chiefs' offensive side of the ball. The Chiefs have been the best team in the league thus far. They've played well every week, and this offense has been far more successful and explosive than anybody could have predicted. Andy Reid doing an incredible job coaching things up on that side of the ball. Alex Smith playing out of his mind. Kareem Hunt has been a heck of a weapon, and frankly he has been the key, I think, to this team's success, along with a solid offensive line. Don't know if Laurent Duvernay-Tardif will be playing. They should hope so, because the Steelers are pretty strong up front, and Cam Irving is Cam Irving. Don't think they want that matchup happening with the Steelers players on the inside. Stephon Tuitt and playing pretty well right now. But this group's been good, both pass protection and in the run game. On the outside, Tyreek Hill has been used very effectively, not having huge amounts of catches, but he's a guy that can change a game. Really, Travis Kelce is the number one receiver on this team. He's being used all over the place. Little screens out of the backfield, flip passes, running down the field, and he's been exceptional again. He suffered an injury last week. If he's concussion, if he's ready to go, I do like the Chiefs' chances of being successful. I still think he is the key cog to this offense. Without him, I think they'd be significantly easier to slow down. But yeah, Alex Smith, I've never seen a season where he's being as aggressive down the field as this. Still doing a great job protecting the ball, and his decision making has been absolutely on point this year, and the weapons around him have really helped. Charcandrick West's been a great second option for them. The ability of both of these receivers to running backs to catch really allows this offense to be quite dynamic in terms of the formations they can use, and difficult to predict. Both guys can be in the game. They're a receiving and a running threat. Not getting a huge amount of production from the other receivers, but they're doing fine with the guys they've got, stepping up in positions. Guys like Albert Wilson, not being called on to do huge amounts, but at the minute Smith is playing at such a high level that he's keeping everything going. In terms of the matchups in this one, the main one I think we had the Steelers linebackers and safeties match up with Kelce. I would not want to see Mike Mitchell trying to cover him. I think Shazier is going to have to be used effectively. I'm not sure whether you want him to be trying to mirror Kareem Hunt out of the backfield, because I don't know if any of the other backers have the ability to cover him, or if you want him to be the guy on Kelce. Shazier is having a fantastic season. He is a real playmaker in the middle of the field, and his usage, I think, is going to be integral to how this one plays out. The corner position, they're going to have to be strong. I think you've got to play Artie Burns on Tyreek Hill. Hayden's playing better than I would have expected, and this entire Steelers defense playing at high level right now. They've been the strength of this team, but I wouldn't trust Joe Hayden on Hill at all, and it's a real mismatch. And at the end of the day, when you play this team, Kelce's got to be the focal point, and I think you have to use 8-man boxes to be able to stop Kareem Hunt consistently. You can do that whilst keeping Kelce under control if you've got a guy that can deal with him, but that's where Tyreek Hill becomes a significant threat, and if anyone can run with him, it's going to be Artie Burns. So that's going to have to be it. I think it's a tough matchup. You're probably going to want to shade safety help over the top just to be sure, but then the matchup nightmare that is Kelce really comes into play, because he's a guy you want to have 2 pairs of eyes on, I think, on every play, because linebackers just can't run with him. I think Shazier probably can, but I don't think anyone else will be able to, and he's just too big for the safeties. He does a great job using his body to leverage guys out of position in play so that they just cannot make a play on the ball. So how they deal with Kelce is going to be absolutely integral. And frankly, it's how this defensive line can perform on a snap-by-snap basis. Alex Smith has not faced huge amounts of pressure this season. They're going to absolutely have to in this game, and they're going to have to do a good job playing contain. If you let Smith get outside the pocket, he's been very dangerous this year. And it's going to fall on Bud Dupree and TJ Watt to do a good job against these tackles, who are both playing pretty well right now. I think that's going to be essential, but they've also got to be able to get some pressure whilst playing disciplined. I don't think you can afford to bring the blitz too often against this team. They're fond of screen type passes, and they've got the explosiveness in their 3 key guys, and also in Charcandrick West, to really burn you if they can get you in a bad blitzing situation, and Smith's got the experience to see it. So if you're the Chiefs, I think really game plan wise, they've been doing such a good job every week of just manipulating situations for their key players to be one-on-one, and also just allowing Alex Smith to just extend some plays and hit guys down the field. Because the run game has been so effective, it's really difficult to sort of key on multiple receivers, or to key on both Kelce and Hill really, because Hunt has just been running very, very effectively. Last week the Texans managed to do a pretty good job on him, but he's still been elusive enough and powerful enough to rip off chunks of yardage at times in games, and the balance that they've got at the moment makes them an incredibly difficult stop. So I think if you're the Chiefs, you just carry on with what you've been doing. A healthy dose of Kareem Hunt in games. Kelce's going to be the guy they go to in key situations. So I think if you're the Steelers, you've got to have an answer for that. I expect the Steelers to really try and bring some pressure, to try and force some plays in this one. So I'm expecting the screen game, as always, as I always do with Andy Reid. I think you'll notice that any time I scheme again, but they do such a great job in it, and I think you'll see a couple of those design screens for Kelce. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see an end around or 2 at some point in this game. I think the Chiefs will be quite creative, and if they can get the run game going, I expect to see a heavy dose of rollouts and play actions to try and isolate their star receivers going deep and intermediate, because they've done such an exceptional job in that regard all year. If you're the Steelers, I think you've just got to play disciplined. One of the things that the Chiefs have been able to do in games this year is rip off an explosive play at key points in games and really punish teams who come after them. I think you've got to pick your spots effectively if you're going to go after Alex Smith in the backfield, and to me that means not making blitzes in obvious passing situations and having your defenders be disciplined in showing the blitz. If you reveal it early, they're doing a great job at the minute of getting out of plays and making sure everyone's blocked up. There haven't been too many free rushers heading towards Alex Smith this year, so that's going to be essential. I hinted at it earlier in terms of the coverage. I think you're going to have to just rely on Artie Burns to be able to stick to Tyreek Hill on some plays. He's going to lose some of those matchups, but don't let him get over the top. If you are going to play off him, make sure you're playing zone over the middle, so you've got some guys that can rally to the ball and force Smith away from him. I think you want to get the ball to Hill in open space primarily. If you can negate his speed as much as you can, that's probably the way to do it. Man on the outside, zone on the inside. I expect to see quite a lot of that, because I just don't think you can man up on Kelce. But I do think you've got to have a safety specifically looking at him throughout the course of the game. Mitchell's a bit of a sort of, what's the way to put it? He can be prone to the odd fairly cheap type hit or play. Bit of a tough way to describe it. He's the sort of player that would have fit in really well on a Jeff Fisher Titans team. I'll put it that way for those of you who kind of get that reference. And I think you'll see a lot of him and Kelsey getting into it. Kelsey is, of course, a guy that you can get to see red and make some mistakes. So that, you never know, that may be something that we're going to see. But at the end of the day, for this is, you've got to find ways to get these edge rushers one-on-one matchups, and they're going to have to win them. And the interior is just going to have to do a really good job keeping the interior lanes clogged, because that's where the Chiefs, I think, have been able to really gash people, is with Kareem Hunt running in the gaps between Kelsey and the tackles, and between the guards and the tackles. Those kind of one-cut plays have been very difficult to stop. So the gap discipline's got to be there, but I don't think you can crowd the line of scrimmage with the way this team is throwing the ball downfield at this point in time, and with some of the speed and options they've got. I think you've got to play smart, disciplined zone defence over the middle of the field, and it's going to be tough. Smith just not turning the ball over, but you'd think he's due at some point. But I think Joe Hayden, you can trust him one-on-one against the other guys in this group. So I think you can maybe see some cover 3 and man type concepts on the outside, and then over the middle you see a lot of 8-man boxes with zone coverage and guys maybe not playing too close to the line of scrimmage and attacking those gaps, because if Kareem Hunt gets rolling, I think this offense is going to be incredibly difficult to stop. On the other side of the ball, the Steelers offense, the offensive line has been better the last few weeks, more like I expected to see, particularly in the run game. They've really started to get going, allowing Le'Veon Bell to use that patient running style of his to great effect. The problem that they're having, which isn't really a personality, is simply that teams are not respecting Roethlisberger's ability to throw deep at this point, which is bizarre considering his usual style of play and the receivers that they've got, but it's just not been effective for them, and I think that's affected this usually dominant running game. Receiver, Antonio Brown is going to be matched up with Marcus Peters, and I look forward to that matchup. Brown has been dominant this season, but Peters is a very, very talented player. I expect to see him following him around on the field all day long. Martavis Bryant, I think he's going to get his opportunities in this one, but he's just been a bit inconsistent. I think moving him around the field, trying to get him on smaller slot corners, possibly on a linebacker, is the way to go. The other corners really struggled against the deep ball last week against the Texans, so I think there'll be opportunities there for them. Safety play's been still very good even without Eric Berry, so I think it's going to be tough sledding, but you're going to have some big plays. This Chiefs team is going to score points, so there's going to have to be opportunities there. I expect to see Brown's going to get his opportunities. Peters is going to definitely get chances to make some plays on the ball in this one. What I think you've got to do is just be smart with when you throw to Brown, and do not allow Peters to undercut routes, because that's his favourite thing in the world, and he's very effective in that role. So I think you've got to focus on getting Brown on the inside in positions that Peters can't make those plays. So I do expect there to be some safety help on both of these receivers on the vast majority of snaps. If that is the case, however, it will free things up for Lev Bell. However, running on this front seven is a tall order. The big thing for me is Justin Houston going to be fully healthy in this one. He's been, as advertised for a healthy Justin Houston, utterly dominating thus far this season. As good as the Steelers' offensive line has looked the last few weeks, It's going to be a tough matchup. I think there's going to be a lot of focus on him, and they're exceptional up the middle. Anyone who speaks to me about football knows how big a fan I am of Benny Logan. Great run-stuffing nose tackle. Chris Jones, the other standout defensive lineman on this team, he's been exceptional. Him and De Castro, I'm expecting to see some great battles between them. De Castro's been one of the stars of this team in this early season. Pouncey looking healthy, so that those are going to be some great matchups to watch. Bell trying to find some space around those two, with Derek Johnson leading the way at linebacker. Him and Malik Wilson being a really dangerous pair. Once D Ford and Tambahar Lee get back, this group's going to be really difficult, this front seven, because they've got talent rushing the passer. What sets Houston apart, and this is what I've always appreciated so much about his game, is what a great run defender he is. He sets the edge violently and defends the run with great understanding and intelligence. It's wonderful to watch. And I just don't feel like the Chiefs need to bring too much in terms of blitzes, and I think that's one way to beat the Steelers. I think we saw it last week. At the minute, the way Ben is throwing the ball, who I haven't even mentioned, he is struggling with the deep ball in particular. Just doesn't look like he's on the same page with any of the receivers not named Antonio Brown. The tight end position's not being particularly productive. I think they need to try and get Vance McDonald involved in these games, but I don't know. Maybe he's struggling to pick things up. Jesse James just isn't a particularly dangerous threat at the receiver position, and this is a team that does very well defending the tight ends. So this is probably not the week that we're going to see too many two tight end sets out of this offense, but I think it's something that they've got that they have not utilised enough this season. But when you're looking at the game plan, it's got to be about Le'Veon Bell. The way Roethlisberger's playing, Bell is just going to have to carry this team, and I think they're going to have to utilise him in the passing game as much as the run game. He seems to have been less featured than he was last year in that regard. Maybe they're just trying to keep the touches somewhat down, but I think maybe see a bit more of Connor on some of the inside type runs, a bit more power out of them, because a lot of this stuff is like zonal, slow developing type plays. I'm not sure if they're going to be enormously effective against this Chiefs team, because they've been playing very well against the run this year. Maybe just try and bring a bit of the hammer down. These two linebackers aren't sort of huge guys. I think if you can get guys to the second level, particularly with this line, you'll be able to get a lot of success there. So I think that's something they're going to have to do. It's just a question of whether they can move those two behemoth defensive linemen out of the way. Run opposite Justin Houston. Do not bother running to his side. I just do not think it's worth it. But if you can get some screens going in behind him, then that's something to consider for sure. You're going to have to take your chances with the Antonio Brown-Peters matchup. Peters will gamble, so he's improved in that regard, but I think you've got to try and get some double moves with Brown against him. You can have some success there. Martavis Bryant's going to have a big day. At the end of the day, this is going to be down to how this pass protection holds up. I think there's going to need to be some big plays in there. I think it's going to have to be a run some more and go deep. I'm not sure short passing is going to do it. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's been effective. Maybe try and get him some jump balls toward the sideline. I don't know, but it just looks like a tough matchup against his defence, because they are playing very well, particularly once they get a lead and they can just sort of try and tee off on guys. If you're the Chiefs defensively, I think the key is just to focus on stopping Antonio Brown. I know Peters is going to be one-on-one with him for a lot of the game, but I would certainly give the safety help over there. Probably going to see two deep safeties in this one. I think they've got to be concerned with how effective Deshaun Watson was throwing the ball deep. So you're going to see that trend, which we've seen a lot of this year. Now that does mean we'll see some 7-man fronts, I suspect. That's going to be the vulnerability. I think they're just going to have to take their chances and hope they can win those matchups on the defensive line and with Justin Houston in terms of stopping the run. If they can contain the run with those guys, I see them having a lot of success. However, if they can't, that plays into the Steelers' hands, and that's what the Steelers' game plan has to be. Just get that run game going, get those deep shots when the Chiefs try to adjust, and hope that they go their way, because it's been a bit of bad luck, especially last week against the Jags. But they're going to need them, because it's just hard to see a team shutting out or shutting down this Chiefs offense the way they're rolling at the moment. So I can't pick against the Chiefs at this point in time. They're just playing too well on both sides of the ball. The Steelers have been somewhat lackluster this year. I do not feel like this is the game where they're going to necessarily pull out of this funk. They do tend to raise their game against some of the top teams, but I don't know. All the momentum is with the Chiefs right now. Arrowhead's going to be rocking, and Roethlisberger just has been thoroughly uninspiring for a while now, which is a shame, because when he's rolling, this offense looks nigh unstoppable, but we have yet to see that this season. If that happens, then this is going to be an absolute barn burner, but I don't see it. I think the Chiefs end up winning this one pretty comfortably, if the Steelers probably get off to a bit of a slow start in this one. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on this one. Thoroughly unoriginal picking the Chiefs at this stage, but hey, if I can't pick against them, I can't pick against them. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know, what do you guys think? What are the key matchups? How do you think this one's going to go? Give us a shout. We've got the comment section below, the Cover Zero Facebook page, and you can follow me on Twitter at Simon Conboy. Always happy to talk football, as ever. If you've enjoyed this, check out some more of the show. We've got plenty of stuff up on the channel, previews, reviews going up all the time, and got the live shows on Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday being the full roundup of the week's football and a brief preview of each game coming up the following week, as well as the Bucks and Titans specific shows on Monday and Tuesday with me, and the Titans one with Arnie respectively. So check those out. They'll be live, they'll be up afterwards for your enjoyment, and yeah, if you can like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon, be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for your time, really do appreciate it. Have a great evening, weekend, and go Bucks.